Well, hello everybody and welcome to Jeff's baking blog. Today I'm going to make some gooey chocolate cookies based on a Swedish recipe for Kladdkaka cookies. Now Kladdkaka, which I have a video for, is a Swedish chocolate cake which is very moist and gooey. It's very nice. But these cookies are a variation on that really, and you can have them as gooey or not as you like basically. If you bake them for a short amount of time they will be quite gooey. The longer you bake them the more set they will become and they'll just be a chewy cookie basically. Now I looked at several recipes for this and many of them were pretty similar, but I've opted to base mine on one from Fredrik's Fika website, which is a Swedish website, and I've just got a couple of variations to that basically, but it's pretty similar to that. It should make about 16 cookies. You can make more if you make the cookies smaller, but about 16 cookies. So I'll go on to the ingredients, and for this I have 150 grams, which is 1 cup based on scooping packed flour into a 250 milliliter cup of plain flour. 150 grams, 3/4 of a cup of a dark chocolate. I'm using 51% cocoa solids. You could use a darker one, a 70% if you wanted to. You could even use milk chocolate if you wanted to. I have 150 grams, 3/4 of a cup of caster sugar, 25 grams, 2 tablespoons of a light brown sugar, 50 grams, 3.5 tablespoons of unsalted butter, 2 medium eggs, which would be large in the USA, 20 grams, 2.5 tablespoons of cocoa powder, 4 grams, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, 1.5 grams, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and here I have 5 grams of sugar, which I have mixed in with 2 grams of vanilla powder. Now if you don't have vanilla powder you can ignore the sugar as well and just use 5 milliliters of vanilla extract. And you could actually even leave it out. It's just to add a little bit more flavour, but you could, that's optional, you could leave that out if you wanted to. So that's all the ingredients, and I'm going to start off by putting my baking powder and my salt into the flour, and I'll put my vanilla in there as well, and I'm going to give those a stir around just to get those mixed together. Then I can set those aside. That's fine. And next I'm going to melt my butter, and once the butter begins to melt I'm going to put my chocolate in as well, and this is on a fairly gentle heat, and I'm going to stir it until the butter and the chocolate are fully melted and combined. Now that's something that you can do on the stove. You don't need to watch that. You could even do it in the microwave if you wanted to, but I'm going to do mine on the stove. So I've melted my chocolate with the butter, and I'm just letting that cool down a little bit. You don't want to use it when it's too hot because it will cook the eggs later. And so I forgot to stir in my cocoa powder into the flour. Now you could sift this, but this is the sort of recipe that it really doesn't matter because it's going to be a gooey recipe, and it will all work out nicely. Cocoa powder does tend to clump, which is why you might want to sift it, but as I say, for this recipe that is of no consequence whatsoever. So I've just mixed those together and set those to one side, and then in a bowl I'm going to put my 2 eggs, and just for information I weighed the eggs out of the shell and they weigh 94 grams. 84 grams would be 3 ounces, so 3 1/3 ounces basically. And I'm going to put my 2 sugars in to the eggs, and I'm going to whisk those together, and as ever I'm going to use my hand mixer, but you just need to get them combined really. And that's good enough. And so then I'm going to just put in a little bit of my chocolate, and I'm going to whisk that and get that combined, and that's going to help to temper the eggs. And then I'm going to add the remaining chocolate, and I'm going to whisk it until it's fully combined. And when I say chocolate, of course, it's the chocolate and the butter melted together. I've given that a quick whisk, and now I'm going to scrape down the saucepan to make sure I get all of my mixture out. I've mixed that together. And that's good enough. And then the dry ingredients can go in, and I'm going to fold those in. Again, you could use your whisk, but we don't want to overwork the flour, so I'm going just to use my spatula and mix those until everything is fully combined. And that's everything mixed together into a thick mixture, but not set enough yet. So I'm going to put that into the fridge, and I'm going to chill that for 30 minutes. And as that 30 minutes comes to an end, I will preheat my oven to 175 degrees Celsius. That's 345 degrees Fahrenheit, just about that, slightly more, 347. And I will have a couple of baking trays lined with parchment paper or with silicone mats ready to take our cookies. So I'll be back with you in 30 minutes when the oven's preheated and the cookie dough is chilled, and we can go on to the next step. So with my cookie dough chilled for about 30 minutes and my oven preheating, I'm going to portion it out, and I'm going to weigh it because that's what I like to do, and I estimate about 40 grams or 41 grams, sorry, per cookie. And I'm going to roll that into a ball. Now, I'm using gloves simply because I've got them, and it saves my hands from getting too sticky. I'm going to then put that onto the baking tray, and I think I'm going to put 6 on each tray, which means I'll have to do mine in batches. So there I have 12, and I'm going to put those into the oven, and I'm going to bake them for about 10 minutes. Now you can bake them for 8 minutes and they will come out quite gooey. You can bake them for 12 minutes or so and they'll come out more chewy, and 10 minutes is in between the two basically. So I will actually bake one for 8 minutes so that I can show you what that looks like, but I'll bake mine then for 10 minutes or 12 minutes, and then once they've baked I will carefully transfer them to a wire rack, having left them on the trays for a couple of minutes, and I'll let them cool down, and then I'll come back and we'll have a taste. Well, I baked the gooey chocolate cookies, or Kladdkaka cookies. Well, I baked the chewy chocolate cookies, or Kladdkaka cookies, for 8 minutes. I baked some for 10 minutes and I baked some for 12 minutes so that I could show you the difference between each of them basically. And they all baked up quite well, I have to say. So I'll show you what they look like. So these here are the ones which I baked for 8 minutes. And hopefully you can see that's really quite moist inside. They're fully cool, of course. And these, this one was baked for 10 minutes, and that's got, I can still see some of the moisture there, but it's drier inside. And this is the one which I baked for 12 minutes, and that's drier still, but I can still see just a little hint of moisture. So I'll have a taste of the 12-minute one, I think. It has a crunch on the outside, but very, very chewy on the inside, with that rich chocolate flavour basically. So let me just taste the 8-minute one. I should do that. Texture is completely different, as you might expect. Much softer, so it's less chewy. It still has the firm outside, but it's less chewy inside, more moist. So it's actually a matter of personal preference how long you bake them for, but I thought I would show you the 3 different stages. So that's going to be it for this recipe. I hope you've enjoyed it, and if you have, please give me the thumbs up below and click to subscribe to my YouTube channel. In the top right hand corner of the screen there will be an eye that you can click on, and that will take you to a link for the recipe, and I'll put a link below the video as well, and I'll be back with another recipe in the very near future. So until then, happy baking.